guys, welcome back to another video of mine. Welcome to the channel if you are new. Today we thought, based on the current market, as obviously the mortgages are kind of going through the roof, we thought we would come on and talk about the increase in mortgage rates and kind of where that leads us currently with our home and what we're thinking about doing next. Okay, so do you want to tell them about why our current mortgage rate is bad? Because I don't really know numbers.
In the scheme of today, it's really good. But 2 years ago, it was really bad. So when we first got this house, our interest rate was about 1.75, 1.8 or something like that. But things happened in the first 2 years. I got put on furlough because of COVID. COVID happened, so we froze the mortgage for 6 months. And Elise changed her job. She went from being employed to being self-employed. Best thing she'd ever done. So typically you have to have a year or two's full accounting books as a business and able to explain to the mortgage companies and the banks. Our interest rate exploded all the way to 2.1 and we were livid. It went up by £150 a month or something.
Yeah.
Or whatever. It definitely jumped by at least 100. So stressful times. We had no choice because no one on the market would give us a offer apart from our existing provider. You are at their mercy then as to what rate they give. So we thought, okay, well, there's nothing else we can do. We'll suck it up. We're only taking 2 year. Yeah. Because obviously you can take 2 year, 5 year, 10 year. First was 2 years and then 2 years. You think after 4 years we don't really want to be stuck. But also we had a really bad rate, so it makes sense. Because after 2 years, we'll be back down again. Okay, little did we know that everything that's happening at the moment happened, and as of this moment in time, the rates have started to drop slightly, but they peaked at like 5%. At the end of December or whatever, when those interest rates were like 5%, when we were doing the maths on it, if our mortgage came up for renewal then, it would have jumped hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pounds. And that's not like clipped off the mortgage, that's just off the interest. It gives us room to think, doesn't it? Okay, so our mortgage comes up in September. It could get better, could get worse, but we've got options, haven't we? Yeah. So let's talk about worst case scenario. If we decide when we get our mortgage rate that we can't afford it, what do we do? Do we sell the house? Is now a good time or a bad time to sell? Because house prices seem to be, I mean, there was a lot of hysteria that the house prices were really going to drop. Yeah, so this time last year, for example, houses kind of went through the roof in terms of pricing, and it was very much a seller's market. We also knew this wasn't going to be a house that we would be in long term. We always knew it would maybe be like a 4, maybe 6 year house. It wasn't quite the right time, was it? Because you still needed another year of your books. Yeah. And you're still locked in to early exit fees for your current mortgage. If you left and stayed with the same bank, sometimes they get rid of that, but sometimes they don't, and that was up towards like 10 grand. The argument being is if we sell before house prices decrease and then we rent for 6 months or a year whilst the house market sorts itself out, and if you could buy at the right time, so if you can imagine house prices are as they are, you sell your house, 6 months later, 8 months later, they've decreased by 10%. Then you buy your house, and then all of a sudden, you've sold at the right time, you've bought at the right time. But you don't know for sure that the houses are gonna decrease by that much. And also, like Elise said, it's like a guessing game, isn't it? Yeah, like Elise said, the mortgage rates are affecting the buy-to-let mortgages as well. Yeah, hugely. So renting was very expensive. Yeah, there's a house over the road from us that's literally the same house, exact same layout, but it's not south-facing and it doesn't have a garage. But they were renting that out for £1,500 a month, which is more than our mortgage. So we couldn't afford to necessarily pay that, along with bills and food and everything else. So yeah, we were umming and ahhing about what to do, and obviously we would like the extra money from the equity because it would potentially sell for that, and we could obviously have that in our back pocket for the next move that we make. But yeah, I think the mortgage rates and the increase in that have caused a lot of anxiety and a lot of people and a lot of questions raised. Even if we rented out our place, you've still got that same problem. You're still looking at paying loads elsewhere. So it's just like, what are the right answers? Because usually a good answer is just to wait and see what happens. That's what people do in the property world, because properties do go up and down. It's like a long game. So if the interest rates weren't as bad, that would be the answer. Our mortgage will stay the same. Our house might decrease by 10%. Fine. You wait 2 or 3, 4 years and it will catch itself up and it will go even more. Because I was reading examples of even during the Great Crash, the last recession we had, the house prices dipped so much, but those same houses are now worth like sometimes hundreds of thousands more.
Yeah.
So it does correct itself. It is only that increase in interest rate which makes our monthly bills potentially go so much higher, which is making us question.
Yeah, so I think that's kind of brought us to our next point, which is kind of what we're thinking about doing next. And
you can exploit the time of the year sometimes with regards to when you rebroke your mortgage. You can actually do it very, very, like, surprisingly early. We were speaking to our mortgage broker. You can do it months and months in advance. But like we said, now's not the right time to do it. But do you stick or twist? Are things going to get worse or are things going to get better?
It's hard, isn't it? Because you're basing it on the unknown. I think for us, we have to base it currently around what the figures are now and like what that would mean for us to move forward, whether that means we go into like a rental, whether that means we move back in with our mum. Obviously we've had a few housing agents round now to kind of value the home and to see where that stands, and we actually had it done a few months ago because obviously that was all going on and we wanted to kind of know where we stood. We got a figure which we were happy with, and it seems to be that we were worrying that that was going to go, we were going to lose 10 grand a month, 10 grand a month, and it was just going to keep going down, but actually it looks to have stayed the same, which is great for us. Obviously it's coming into March now. Spring is probably a really good time to put the house on the market.
There's a lot of unknowns until we put the house on the property, so I think the right answer is to put the house on the market
no matter what,
and see if we get bites, because we might get a good enough bite that all the maths make sense, or we might not get any interest, so we know that, okay. Another factor is that we can't sell the house for as much as we thought we could sell the house, which would obviously have another dent again.
I mean, if you're in the same position and you're thinking about doing the same, my advice would be get a housing agent round and chat with them and see what their figures are about charging for their fees and the VAT that they take. He kind of made it out to me that you can kind of barter those fees down with an agent. Obviously they're all competing for those houses, right? So you can barter that. So that was news to me, so that might be news to you, so definitely play that to your advantage.
But if you buy a house elsewhere, you're kind of walking into the same problem, which is a discussion. And one thing we haven't discussed that goes against us is how many new builds they are putting up around our area. Because if we wait a year, 2 years, there's going to be
loads of them.
There might be 2,000 more houses like us on our road. That's how dramatic it could get with some of the developments that are being planned. But it could potentially drive the prices down. So that's why this is such a complicated decision.
But yeah, there's lots to think about, and that's where we're at. So
we'll keep you posted on what we do.
I don't know, maybe you guys will find some moving vlogs on the channel very soon. Who knows? We have no idea what's going to be happening. This was kind of like a chitty chatty video, just to kind of update you on where we're at and what we're thinking about doing. That is it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video very, very soon. Bye.